All right, well, now we're going to be looking at graphing inequalities. And we're going to do so on a TI calculator. And I'm going to be using a TI-84. And this comes from example 2 on page 318, chapter 5-6, graphing inequalities in two variables. And the first thing that we've got to do, we're given a couple of inequalities here. X minus y is less than or equal to 3. And 2x plus 3y is greater than or equal to 18. And the first thing we got to do, though, is get these in more of a y, more like a slope intercept, I guess would be what I would say. So over here on the left, we got x minus y less than or equal to 3. I'm going to subtract x from both sides. That's going to give me negative y is less than or equal to negative x plus 3. But I've got this negative y here, so I'm going to have to divide by negative 1, which also means I'm going to have to flip that inequality. So then that's going to leave me with y is greater than or equal to x minus 3. Dividing everything by negative 1 is going to change the signs of all of that. And so now this I now have in a form, and you need to jot this down because in a moment we're going to jump over on a calculator to where I can graph it. Now while we're here, let's go ahead and get this second inequality out of the way and get it in the same form. So I've got 2x plus 3y is greater than or equal to 18. I'm going to subtract 2x from both sides. That would leave me with 3y greater than or equal to negative 2x plus 18. And then we're going to divide everything by 3 to get y by itself. And so we got y, don't have to flip the inequality this time because I'm dividing by positive 3, equals negative 2/3 x plus, and then 18 divided by 3 is going to give me 6. So jot these two inequalities down, and then we're going to jump over and get on a calculator, and I'm going to show you a couple of ways to graph this on your graphing calculator. All right, well, I'm over here on the TI-84 calculator, and we're getting ready to graph the first inequality that we had, which we put in the form of y is greater than or equal to x minus 3. So I'm going in here to y equals, and I'm going to move my cursor all the way over here to the right, where you see it now blinking with the blue bar and the diagonal. And I'm going to hit enter, and it's going to bring me up to this. I'm going to keep the color at blue, but I'm going to take the cursor and move it down to where it's talking about the line, and I'm going to move it with the cursor. Okay, and that little symbol right there, the triangle in the upper right corner, is actually greater than. I'm going to go ahead and scroll through some more of these, but that's the one I want, because we're doing greater than or equal to. When the cursor's down there in the bottom left, so to speak, I mean this symbol, that would be less than. And then we got 0, and we've got some dotted line options, solid line options. I'm going back over here to the greater than. Now, the weakness in doing it this way, and I'm getting ready to show you another way, all your lines are going to be solid. There will not be any dotted lines in case we were doing a less than or just a greater than, but it doesn't matter in this case because we're doing greater than or equal to anyway. Okay, so I'm going to hit this cursor, I'm going to hit enter. I've chosen that option. I'm going to say OK. And you'll notice, let me move it where it's not blinking, but over here in the left-hand corner, I now have this greater than symbol. So I'm getting ready to put in my equation, which is y. This is going to read it as y is greater than or equal to x minus 3. X minus 3. And now we're going to take a look at the graph. And you'll notice that it is shading this graph for me. And the shaded portion is my solution. Now, if we wanted to test that, Again, anytime I can test using the origin 0, 0, I'm going to use that. So let's just plug in. We had y is greater than or equal to x minus 3. Let's substitute in 0 for y and 0 for x. And then that would then read 0 is greater than or equal to negative 3. Well, that's a true statement. And since the origin gives us a true statement, we would shade above the line, which includes the origin, which this calculator has already done for us. Well, Shazam. All right, the next inequality we've got is y is greater than or equal to negative 2/3 x plus 6. But this time I want to show you an app that we can also use. So let me go ahead and clear my y equal. And I'm going to move this on back and change it to what it normally is, just for the moment, at that point right there. And you can see I've restored this back to the way it normally looks. And I'm going to go into my apps right here. Now, if you do not already have the app I'm getting ready to show you, you can download it to your calculator from TI, Texas Instrument website. But I'm just going to scroll down here, and let's see, it's just a few more down. Right there, it says inequalities, and I'm going to choose that app. And it's going to bring up a screen and ask me to verify that I actually want to use it. And I can do that just by pressing any key. And now you look at the top, I've got an X equal button, a plot 1, plot 2, plot 3, a quit app, and then down here at the bottom, and these correspond to the alpha of these 5 keys right here: equals, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. And if I were to, we're not going to choose it on this one, but we will, I think, here in a moment, maybe on the next example, a less than or a greater than, but not equal to, it would actually give me a dashed line rather than a solid line. So I'm first going to go in here and try to get my greater than or equal to. I'm going to hit alpha, graph, and you can see that it is put in greater than or equal to. So now let's enter our equation. I'm going to put this in parentheses. Negative 2/3, I'll close my parentheses, x plus 6. And now I'm going to hit the graph button and see what we got. Okay, well, there I am. It is shaded this portion. I've got a y-intercept at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which is what I should see. And let's see. The origin here is not shaded. So what if we put in 0 for both y and x in that inequality, which was y is greater than or equal to negative 2/3 x plus 6. And if I substitute in 0 for y and 0 for x, that would give me 0 is greater than or equal to 6. That's not true, so I would not be shading any portion where this origin lies below this line. I would, in fact, shade exactly what the calculator has done for me, this top portion right here. Because if I test it, that test point of the origin, it gives me a false statement. Therefore, I would not shade in that direction. Okay, that's pretty cool. Now, on the next exercise, we'll look at another little thing this inequalities apps can do that you're ordinarily unable to do with your graphing calculator. Isn't this fun?